We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Tuesday, and on Monday night, I got a message from Will about coming on the show. Now, normally I wouldn't do this because Will was on twice last week while I was away, and I wouldn't normally have somebody on as quickly as that because a lot of people want to get on. But I thought it was appropriate at this point. We know all of what happened with Tony Hinchcliffe and the whole hate rally that went on at Madison Square Garden. And Terry Hinchcliffe, amongst others, kind of sectioned out the Puerto Rican people in Puerto Rico. So I knew Will would be upset about this. And then I was reminded that not only will Will be upset about this, but he happens to be Puerto Rican. So I decided, yeah, let's have him back on and light that fucking candle. So, Will, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. I know it seems a bit much, but thank you for making the
No
exception.
problem. I'm happy to have you on, especially under these circumstances.
Man, to those of you watching this is going to be X-rated because I no, fuck no. I'm going to start right there. Um, I mean, as you can see, you guys who are watching this, we had pre-recorded a couple of things for time filler. And Sunday was a nice little conversation. And Sunday, literally, I had done a couple of videos and I said, hey, I'm going to take a break. I come downstairs and I look at my phone and I see the report about this guy and what he said. And I found the video. And I just went, are you, what? Who, what? I mean, here's the thing more than anything else, the racism aside, because that's for it. He said that in New York fucking City.
Yeah.
In New York City, there are, let's see, 954,000 Puerto Ricans in New York. The majority are in the fucking Bronx. My dad is from the Bronx. He
Yeah.
lived in New York. He was a native. He was born in Puerto Rico. I think Stella, one of the bigger creators, said it. She lives in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And I just heard all my neighbors go, "What the fuck?" Um, and it's like I've never. The worst thing about this, other than the open fucking racism, open thing is like that guy thought he was funny.
Well, yeah, that's the point. This guy is kind of a second-rate hack comedian who has a podcast. He's been on some roast. He's not that funny, but he thinks he's funny. I think Joe Rogan probably told Donald Trump to put him on there because he and Joe Rogan are buddies. But but what was funny was that after he did what he did, AOC was talking to Tim Walz.
Oh, I saw that.
And Tim Walz says, "Who is this jackwad?" And I said on the TikTok, I said, "I like that term. I'm going to steal that term. I'm going to start calling people jackwads." But Tim made a complaint and was appalled by what Tony Hinchcliffe said. Now, here's a guy that's getting lambasted for all he said. And he needed to retort to Tim Walz. And of course, he did it on Twitter or X because that's where all the racists congregate. And you would think because he's a comedian, if he was a good comedian, it would be a clever retort. Have you heard the tweet that he put out?
Yeah, he basically told
Okay,
Tim Walz.
let me read it. Let me read it.
Go ahead, read it.
He says, "These people have no sense of humor. Wild that a vice presidential candidate would take time out of his busy schedule to analyze a joke taken out of context to make it seem racist." Now, I just want to analyze that sentence. It's ironic that he would be able to take time out of his busy schedule. That's akin to a jackwad getting pulled over for speeding and then saying to the cop, "Why are you bothering me? There's murderers and rapists out there." Nice try, Tony. And then he says it's taken out of context. My question to Tony Hinchcliffe is: at what point, or how is it possible that there is a context where you suggest Puerto Rico is an garbage of island in the ocean is not fucking racist? Jesus Christ. And then he goes on to say, "I love Puerto Rico and vacation there." That's like a racist
Not
saying,
anymore.
That's like a racist saying, "Oh, I've got black friends." Yeah. He said, "I made fun of everyone. Watch the whole set." I think we all watched the whole set. "I'm a comedian, Tim. Might be time to change your tampon." The fucker doubled down again.
I
He
know.
insulted the future vice president of the United States. This motherfucker is going to be canceled and he deserves it.
Well, here's the thing. The worst thing about that guy, um, the jokes were lame.
Oh,
The
they were
jokes were
horrible.
bad. I mean, let's just roll down the jokes. Puerto Ricans first, then he hit the Latinos with the
Yeah.
birth thing,
Yeah.
which was like, are you kidding me? Then he did the watermelon thing. Dude, really? Upgrade your material.
I said,
Okay?
I said in my TikTok, I'm funnier than that
Yeah.
motherfucker, and I'm an old
And
guy
then,
sitting in my living room.
but the last joke was about Palestinians and Iraq.
Oh, I didn't hear this one.
Oh
Go ahead.
yeah, he said that something about Palestinians and they have something about rocks. And if you know, and I know, during the spring, the Palestinian spring, the that started a lot of this mess with rocks. A lot of them died from Israeli soldiers killing them when they threw rocks. He thought that was fucking funny.
Yeah.
So my point. Oh yeah, by the way, to those Palestinians don't want to vote for Jill Stein or Trump, or do you want to make a message because you're ethically, you have morals and high ethics? Fuck you, shove up your ethics because it's bullshit.
Well, he said a
You
couple
know
of,
it's bullshit.
he said another thing about, I think it was the Puerto Ricans or maybe just
Latinos in general.
Latinos in general, where he,
Yeah, we don't
where
pull
he,
out.
yeah,
We come in.
they won't, they won't say this on mass media. So I'll say it here. It's another fucking weak ass joke. He
This is a
says,
bad
yeah,
joke.
and the Latinos love having babies. They love having babies. They don't know how to pull out. They only know how to come inside, which is not funny. In
And then
the premise isn't funny. He said, just like when they come across the board and come inside this country. What the, who wrote this shit? I
he
wouldn't
did.
read it. It's
He,
fucking horrible.
I mean, he apparently got some of fame because they did a roast of Tom Brady on, I don't know where.
Yeah,
I
well, he's
saw
been
part
around
of
a
it.
while.
It wasn't even funny.
No,
I mean, I've seen a roast, old school. I've seen it. They're not funny because the people they had were comedians, weren't funny.
yeah,
The roast I've seen go back to the old days. Had Richard Pryor, Robert Williams, Don Rickles.
yeah, or
Those
go way
guys were
back to Dean
brilliant.
Martin and
Dean Martin. These guys were brilliant comedians. See, that's the thing. I made a comment because I'm getting these people getting the, well, it's a joke, like it's a stand-up comedy. No, dudes, I understand stand-up comedy. I've paid money to see stand-up comedians. I grew up in the era of Richard Pryor, George Carlin.
yeah,
I know what a good comedian is. A good comedian takes a subtle difference in either their lives or what reality is, and that's the funny joke because they can see it.
right.
What you did was basically take the Nazi playbook or the KKK playbook and then try to put a laugh track under it. And you thought you were going to be okay. The problem you're finding out when you hitch your ride to Donald Trump, they're tossing your motherfucking ass under the bus right now.
Right.
We don't know anything about him. We don't know who he is. Rick Scott's in Florida going, no, I love Puerto Ricans.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. They say they didn't know what he was going to say. That's categorically bullshit. Because if you're up there speaking for the future or the candidate for the presidency, they will go over and vet every little bit of it. And we
Oh,
know
hell
they
yeah.
did because they put it on the teleprompter. They put it on the teleprompter. They even edited his set, as he calls it, because they took out one joke. And you know which one they took out? I don't even know what the joke was, but he was referring to Kamala as that C word. And they said,
The
oh,
one,
that's a
Elon
bridge too
Musk,
far.
I don't know why Elon Musk just did it, set a whole ad on that.
Yeah,
I
but he's
mean,
got the money. And the Tony Hinchcliffe is just a half-ass fucking comedian. They took out him calling her the C word, but they thought that calling Puerto Rico an island, a garbage island floating in the ocean was just fine. They knew
and
exactly what they were doing.
which brings me back to what we discussed, I think, a couple weeks ago about Latinos for Trump. Okay, bottom line, if you're Puerto Rican and voting for Trump, please turn in your Berinque card. You're not Puerto Rican. But here's the thing. We are, now, I was born in the United States. I was born in California. My dad was born in Puerto Rico. But he was an American citizen from day one. Puerto Rico is an American territory.
Exactly.
Everyone on that island is an American fucking citizen. For you to say that about Puerto Rico, you don't think we are Americans.
There are no Puerto Rican immigrants in this country
No.
because they are part of this country.
I mean,
And
I saw
somebody
that.
who's running for president should fucking know that.
But here's the thing. I saw that when they were talking about Puerto Rican immigrants in the United States. No, we're not immigrants. We're fucking citizens allowed to travel in the United States without any passport or restrictions. But they think we're all one of them. And then the thing we keep missing about this whole fucking speech or whole rally. First of all, who the fuck has a 5-hour rally? Okay, a Kamala Harris rally is 2 hours most.
Yeah.
2 hours.
Which is reasonable.
Which is reasonable because they have a lot of entertainment in front. A 5-hour fucking rally. And then the speakers behind this dude were worse.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Stephen Miller, the Uberfuhrer. That dude, because I can't say it on TikTok, I'm going to say right here. That dude is out of central casting when you're looking for a fucking SS officer for a World War II movie.
Absolutely.
You tell me I'm wrong.
No,
He
I agree.
looks like every fucking one I've seen in a picture. It looks like it. The only thing missing when he made that speech was the death's head's cap on his head. And by the way, motherfucker, I am a fucking American. You dumbass.
Yeah,
And then you had Dr. Phil talking about DEI. Hey, motherfucker, if it wasn't for Oprah, you wouldn't have a fucking career.
Right.
Last time I checked, she ain't Lily White. I mean, it was ridiculous.
What I don't understand is somebody like Tony Hinchcliffe or some of these other fucking clowns. We're 8 days, now 7 days away from the election. Donald Trump is going to lose. Donald Trump knows he's going to lose just by virtue of having that little hate rally. He did that because he knows he's losing. He's trying to stir up his base somehow, and his base isn't big enough to win an election, so he's hoping they get violent. But these people have hooked their wagons to Donald Trump. Tony Hinchcliffe, for example, this comedian, he said all this egregious shit. That's going to get him canceled. But the other part of this is he essentially endorsed Donald Trump. So in a week, when he loses, he's going to have that stink on him and his career for the remainder of his life.
But I'm going to bring out an analysis someone said, because that came up during Morning Joe this morning. The only sane thing they talked about. First of all, they kept talking about how this was going to affect the race. They said, no, they still say it's tied. Kiss my ass.
It's not tied.
Mika, for once, said that people are afraid to vote now because of that. Come on, Mika. We're not afraid. We're pissed off. Pissed off, go do something. That's what we feel. But they have a British woman from the BBC.
Yeah, Caddy Clay.
Caddy Clay. So they brought that up, and her analysis, they go, why? It doesn't make sense. First of all, he's in New York. He's down by 20 points in New York. There's no way he's winning New York. By the way, Elise Stefanik, no, that's not Trump country. It isn't. Last time I checked, no.
No.
But she said the reason is that Donald Trump truly believes that his campaign, through their polling, thinks that he's going to win 6 out of 7 battleground states.
Oh, I'm sure he believes it. He's delusional.
Because they believe that they're discounting the women's vote. Women aren't voting. They said the abortion thing's not important. They are counting on white men coming out in droves and pushing aside all the other people. They think there are more white men out there that are going to turn to Donald Trump and save him. So that's why they did this rally, to appeal to that base, because he believes
in New York. Do it in Florida. Do it in Texas, but not in New York.
Well, in New York, the insiders say Trump thinks he will win New York. I mean, this is what we are in the bunker mentality, okay, at this point. But the point is that they truly believe that in the Trump campaign, and they're selling it to the media, who keeps saying that too.
Yeah.
They keep selling that this is a tied race, it's a close race. Um, you know, I saw one report from News Nation that the House is going to Republican again.
No.
How is that possible when the House doesn't do anything? This House did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I don't
It
know.
makes no fucking sense.
I don't know what they're doing. Are they just trying to convince themselves, or are they trying to will what they want to happen to happen? It doesn't work either way, but I tell you what I look forward to. If they truly believe that they're going to win the election and win the swing states and do all that stuff, I'm going to love this, because there's only one thing I enjoy more than seeing a Trump-la-fuck lose, is lose by getting fucking blindsided.
That's the thing, and one of the creators, who does a lot of political analysis, I think his name's Dodd. Forgive me. He made a comment about what he thinks is going to happen when MAGA loses, because his statistics say they're going to lose.
Oh, of
He's a
course,
little more.
yeah.
He's more trendy. He's more trends. I saw him today. He said, "Yeah, the House is going to be that. There's 230 seats for the Democrats already." He goes,
Yeah.
"They're going to win the House."
Yeah.
He's more realistic. The Senate, he said some good points about Senate, because he didn't know about Texas or Florida. Who turns out, that's where those things are to come down to. He believes Ohio is going to be Sherrod Brown. He's worried about Tammy Baldwin because he says she's not running a good campaign. I don't know how that's possible, but okay. But his point was they are delusional. They think they're going to win. The mass media keeps pushing it into the MAGA men. So he said his point about what happened is that Trump is getting them ready to do violence. And that once that happens,
but they aren't going to do that because they're outnumbered. They've
they're
got Joe
outnumbered.
Biden sending the National Guard and wiping them out if he has
Well,
to.
I mean, they had a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Someone asked Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman, "Are you ready?" I mean, Homeland Security's ready. And they asked him, "Do you have? Are you?" If Trump declares he's win, are you guys ready? Because we have contingency plans on the federal and the state level. Well, that tells you something. They know
Yeah.
what's. Joe Biden's not an idiot. But
No.
here's the thing: there are things going on right now. We have to acknowledge. Okay, if you have not voted yet, do not wait till November 5th. If you have early voting, fucking do it now, for a couple of reasons. One, um, in Texas, the poll worker got punched in the face because they told him to remove a guy was told to remove a MAGA hat, because you can't have a MAGA.
Can't have
Can't
any
have
kind
any
of political hat.
paraphernalia. So he hit the guy and he's arrested. They'll probably slap him on the wrist, let him go. It is Texas.
Yeah, true.
And then the one, lady who you walk into a polling place. I'm not going to walk into a polling place with a Kamala Harris t-shirt. I'm not stupid.
No.
When I voted, I had pretty much this shirt on, and I voted. And they have the signs: no political activity 200 yards from a polling place or in a polling place.
Right.
They told this woman, you can't wear the shirt. You know what the woman did? Bitch, I'm going to say straight up, bitch ripped off her shirt and voted in her bra. She voted in her bra. And I did a video on it, and it got a lot of views. Why? Because the one thing I said, yeah, she did, and it's ridiculous. And JD Vance called her a patriot. But remember this: that crazy bitch voted.
Yeah.
She voted. So you better get your ass out to vote, because the crazy went and voted. And then something that really kind of disturbed me today, you probably saw it. 2 ballot boxes set on fire, one in Portland and one in Vancouver.
Yep.
FBI is on it. They lost 20. They lost ballots. In Clark County, I think in Vancouver, Clark County, they're telling people, if you dropped your ballot in that box at around 11 a.m. on Saturday, please contact us, because we need to get your ballot replaced. They're pulling out ashes from that thing. It is, see, now I'm going to say it straight on to everybody here who's listening. Aside from all the racism, aside from pissing off an entire set of Americans who really, when they get pissed off, take action. We don't sit there with our thumb up our asses. That's what Puerto Ricans do. I'm going to say it to all you MAGA fucks. Let's be blunt, okay? Game on, bitches.
Yeah.
I am tired of this shit. I'm tired of whining, these people whining, crying. You motherfuckers, all the rest of you leftist fucks, you sitting on the fence, Democrats, get your ass up and fucking vote. Because if you don't, I don't want to hear your shit anything when we're knee deep in a civil war. Because
I,
you better be ready to fight after that.
I
Because
was
that's what's going to happen.
I was talking about this on a TikTok about how flabbergasted I am by people a week out from the election still saying they're undecided. You indecisive, stupid motherfuckers. There's no way you can be undecided at this point. There's only a few other options. You're stupid, you're a Trumplafuck and just afraid to admit it, or you're looking for fucking attention. It's one of the three or all of the three. And I don't want to hear from people, well, I'm undecided. Fuck you. Step
Yeah,
up, make a decision. I have more respect for somebody that says, I'm voting for Donald Trump than
yeah,
I do somebody saying I'm undecided because you're a pussy ass bitch and
yeah.
I don't want to hear it. If you don't want to vote, if you want to cry and whine, go sit in the corner. Let the big people handle this. And then when the smoke clears, you can come and reap the rewards of everybody else's fucking battle.
Let's be honest. After Saturday, after Sunday, the hoods are off.
Yeah.
If you're a racist, you want to vote for Trump, hoods off. Fuck it. You're done. I mean, just don't stop it. Because the only reason they're undecided and oh my god, I saw one creator, this black guy, talking about he said his handle was Grace. And it came on my FYP. Homeboy's talking about when you're voting for Kamala, he goes, well, Kamala Harris, why did she procreate with a white man? Why didn't she? And I saw that, and at the end he says, "Jesus bless you." Hey, motherfucker, keep your religion out of your mouth, my religion out of your fucking mouth, because you're not a Christian. And what the fuck does that have to do with an election? I heard that, and I'm like, I mean, and I'm going, fuck. And that's what we're dealing. That type of idiocy is unbelievable because the problem we're having, and I think everyone is starting to see it. Kamala Harris is a woman. That's bad enough. She's a black woman, which is worse. And even amongst some blacks, she can't do enough
Right.
because they can't bring themselves to vote for a black woman. Now, let me be clear. I think they're a minority.
Oh,
I
a
think
small
small
minority.
minority. The press keeps looking for that. Kamala Harris is losing the black vote. Kamala Harris is losing the Latino vote. Kamala Harris is losing women. No, she ain't losing women. She
No.
may lose some white women. She ain't losing other women. The demographic is showing. But when they do the stats, it's the same as Biden. See, the thing about I keep hearing the national um, vote is tied. Where did he get 7 million votes?
Yeah.
Please tell me where he got 7 million votes.
Since 2020, he has gained no votes.
No
As of the
votes.
Madison Square Garden thing, he didn't gain any votes. He lost votes. There's 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. What
Yes,
about talk about the dumbest fucking thing ever? There are Puerto Ricans all over this country.
there's
There's a ton in New York.
60,000 Puerto Ricans in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, I went ahead and looked it up. There's 269,000 in Texas. There's 65,000 of us in Georgia. I
And
voted.
and
Hi.
if that wasn't enough, he's already done that to the Haitians. And how many Haitians are there in
There are
Florida?
500,000 Haitians in the state of Florida. So
So
that's the thing. That's the thing I keep hearing is that you know it's close in Florida, dude. You just pissed off two of the biggest populations in there, and they're not. It's the thing about it is also they keep not bringing up women. They're trying not to say anything to women.
yeah,
They want to make sure that they're not. But no, women are out there,
I
and
mean,
women are lying in wait.
do
It
do
is
they honestly believe that they think women have forgotten about this whole overturning
yes,
Roe v. Wade?
that
That's
is the
ridiculous.
entire Trump campaign mantra.
Well, that's what
Women have
Trump
forgot.
said. Trump
Yeah,
said, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal.
it's not a
Well,
big
you dumb
deal.
fuck. I guarantee you it'll be the biggest deal there
You
is
know,
in this election.
well, his take is that why I love women. Okay,
Yeah, enough to abuse them and
I mean
be found
that's
liable of sexual assault. He
that
loves them
is the
so much.
if that is not the number one abuser statement,
Yeah,
yeah, I love her, but she pisses me off sometimes, so I have to take care of business.
yeah,
The only thing missing for him is wearing a wife beater shirt, but God, no, I don't want to see that. But the point being is, that's what they're basing this entire campaign on right now, is that at the end game, that Kamala Harris cannot get to white men, and we have enough white men to push us over the top. Where? Because I think there's a percentage of white men that are gonna skew you, dude.
yeah,
And and but and then let's talk about other things. If that was true, and your numbers say, hey, we got 6 out of 7 swing states, we're going to electoral roll Kamala Harris. Why is the RNC have 2 cases immediately to the Supreme Court? One in Virginia, when the Virginia State Supreme Court said, no, you can't purge rolls, Glenn Youngkin. They
yeah,
went right to the Supreme Court to get a stay on that so they can purge rolls. Or in Pennsylvania with the naked ballots, if you don't have to secure ballot going in there, so ridiculous. Republicans just make it so hard to vote. In there, they don't want to be counted as a provisional vote. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, no, that's fine. You can't do these rules 90 days before.
right.
Sorry. But they went right to the Supreme Court. RNC went right to the Supreme Court. In Nevada, they won a court case about absentee ballots. I guarantee the RNC is sending that to the Supreme Court. So explain to me, oh coward the Democrats, if we're fucking getting our asses handed to them, why is the RNC spending every inch dime going to the Supreme Court about election suppression?
Well, I think, one of the things I think, when they talk about we're going to win this and the polls are that and this is that, I think part of it is framing the argument for after they do lose. They say, how could we have lost? He gets all these people at Madison Square Garden. The polls said this, the fake polls. There's a ton of fake Republican
And
polls. It's ridiculous. And I want to say something.
mm,
There's a, I wouldn't do it on TikTok, but there is a creator on TikTok, Hawk, and I like most of what he does, but he said something today that pissed me off. He said, if you think all polls are wrong, you're an idiot. If you think any polls are accurate, you're a fucking idiot. Because we've seen the polls year after year be wrong. Tell me which one is right. Because there's never been one that's right. They're all wrong some less wrong than others, but all of them wrong. I think all polls should be disregarded
yes,
because they continually are wrong. I mean, if I go to a well and there's no water, eventually I stop going to the fucking well.
right.
And the same should be said about polls.
The problem with polls and statistics is that these are not straight statistics. These are
No.
manufactured statistics based on sample size. If anyone's taking statistics, a stats class, you know how complicated that can be. In a medical, like when you're trying to do a medical test, you know how many blinds, how many tests you have to do in order to be accurate. But that's a controlled experiment. Polls are not controlled experiments. That's just basically rolling the dice, see who you can catch.
Right.
But they're based on old thinking. What you have to start looking at is trends, and trends are more accurate than polls, and trends are not working for Donald Trump. They're
No.
not. And again, don't give me that more Republicans are voting early. Sure, they're voting early because they don't want chaos either. They know what's going to happen. But there is still the point of 20% of Haley voters who won't vote for Trump.
Right.
You cannot tell me every one of those. It's just like every Democrat is going to vote for Kamala Harris. You know that's not true. I know
Right.
that's not true. Now, but not every Republican is going to monolith vote for Trump because there's a lot of women in that. And contrary to what we see, a lot of women on Republican side are not happy because they see the writing on the wall.
Well, you want proof of that? Uh, Roe v. Wade goes up for a vote in a state like Ohio
Mm-hmm.
or or like Arkansas,
Mhm.
or like any of these red states, they're voting to keep abortion legal in their states, which is contrary, a contradiction to Donald Trump and the Republicans. If they're concerned enough to step up and vote to save Roe v. Wade in their state, are they going to vote for the fucking people that put them in this situation? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing when it comes to like the House races, and I just find it hard to believe that the Republicans are going to win the House
They
because of what their
aren't.
performance. I mean, it's
It's fucking
insane.
ridiculous to even say that.
I mean,
It,
because I
it's
don't,
not going to happen.
and the thing about it's like what is hard for a lot of us, and because we care, we want, we know we're too smart not to care. I mean,
Right.
sometimes being dumb is good because you just go with the flow, and you just kind of keep yourself. You don't worry about it. We see the bigger picture, and we want people to see the bigger picture, but some people are either in the cult or just too dumb to know and don't care. Um, like here's the thing: they're also being fed by people misinformation. Jeff Bezos in the Washington Post. Let's talk about that for a moment. They didn't endorse a candidate. The LA Times didn't endorse a candidate. The reasoning being for Jeff Bezos is a business decision. They had Robert Kagan with the Bulwark today, and he said that basically he's down on his business empire. The Washington Post is 3, and he didn't want to piss anybody off. But here's what's going on the background. They think they got one over on us. By Monday, the Washington Post lost 200,000 subscribers, 8 fucking percent of the entire subscriber population. More editors and writers are leaving the Washington Post. LA Times is not doing any better. CNN's ratings are down. The reckoning is coming, you dumb motherfuckers. Because Bezos' statement, well, we didn't do it because a paper endorsing a president doesn't mean anything. Yeah, you know what, dude? If you had not done it, if you just let them do the thing, it wouldn't have mattered. If it didn't matter, then why didn't you just let them do it? If it
Well,
does, see your logic, you're trying to bullshit me, and we know it's bullshit.
let me tell you
Sorry,
something else
homie.
about Jeff Bezos. Um, there's another story that came out that Jeff Bezos was the one that shut down the endorsement of Kamala Harris. The paper was going to endorse
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris, and Jeff Bezos said no. Here's the interesting part of the story, and I heard it from a fairly trusted source, so I'm pretty confident this is true, and it makes some sense. That prior to deciding not to endorse anybody, the Washington Post and Jeff Bezos' organization, Blue Horizon, which is his space thing, had conversation with Donald Trump's campaign. So
Yeah,
he has conversations with Donald Trump's campaign and then decides not to endorse anybody. And when he decided not to endorse anybody, he basically endorsed Donald Trump. He was too cowardly to directly endorse him because of the backlash, but he didn't want to endorse Kamala because he was afraid of Donald Trump. Here's the deal with Jeff Bezos. We can do what we want to do with the Washington Post, but you really want to stick a thumb in his eye between now and the election? Nobody, nobody buy anything on Amazon. Do 1 week of not buying something on Amazon and see how he likes that bullshit.
yeah. He's done to piggyback what you said in his statement about how endorsements don't mean anything from a paper. He denies that story. He's denying that he never met with Trump and it has nothing to do with business.
I don't disagree though. I don't
Yeah.
know that his endorsement is of any value, but the point is that he categorically tried to do it to benefit Donald Trump. Whether
Yes.
it had any value or not doesn't make a difference. The
But
intent was there.
yeah, it's the there is a very close cadre of billionaires who are sucking up to Trump because they believe the Trump campaign that he's going to win. They're into it. Now, I mean, let's talk about another billionaire. You know who owns Madison Square Garden, right?
I
His name
don't.
is Dolan. Jeff Dolan. Jeff Dolan owns Madison Square Garden. He owns the Knicks. He owns the Rangers.
Okay.
He is getting heat. His statement was, "We do not take sides in a political campaign. We didn't know what was going on,
Oh, please.
motherfucker. You have been with Trump before. You and Trump piled around. You know who he is. The rich right now, the very rich right now, are afraid of not Donald Trump. They're afraid of the middle class. Because if Kamala Harris wins the election, the middle class is rising up, and it's going to be not a revolution, but you're going to pay the piper.
Yeah,
You still make money, but the thing about it, you're going to lose. You're not going to make as much money because you have to pay your taxes, and also you're going to lose control. People will have choices. You will have to pay them well. It will be mandated. You'll have to do the right thing. You guys have been basically using us as your personal serfs
yep.
for 60 fucking years because of the Republican Party.
And we're done.
Game is coming to an end, and this is the end game. That's why you guys are throwing money at it left and right, because if you could survive, then you could change the game to get rid of us. That's their
Exactly.
goal. That is the bottom line goal.
I want to bring something up that I get a lot from people, and I did a TikTok about it, but I think it needs to be explained because people are under the wrong assumption. I'm getting people coming to me and saying, "Oh my God, if Kamala even does win, Mike Johnson will delay or stop the certification and do all this sort of shit." People don't understand how this whole fucking system
Nope.
works. First of all, Mike Johnson isn't likely to be the Speaker of the House on January 6th because they swear in and seat the new Congress on July 3rd. And without question, in my mind, the Democrats will have control of the House, which
Mhm.
means Hakeem Jeffries more than likely will be the Speaker of the House, and he won't be involved in the certification either. The person who's involved in the certification is the president of the Senate, which happens to be the vice president of the United States, who also happens to be the one that's going to be certified as the president. Now, I wasn't sure if she could do it for herself. Other people have come to me and say, yeah, it's been done before. She can certify the election, even if she is the one winning the presidency.
Because it's ceremonial.
Yeah.
It became a point when they were desperate to get Trump win in 2020. It's a ceremonial thing. Even in 2016, when he won in 2017, Joe Biden was vice president. They tried, and Joe Biden said, "Stop."
But
No.
here's the
It,
thing. People are saying, well, if she can't do it because she's the winner of the presidency, we know now that's probably not true. But if she can't do it, then Mike Johnson or Hakeem Jeffries gets to do it. No, the Speaker of the House has nothing to fucking do with it. If Kamala Harris cannot certify the election or do anything along those lines in the Senate, you know who takes her place?
the
The
Senate pro
president
tem.
pro tem, and that is Patty Murray,
Mhm.
Democratic senator from Washington State. Has nothing to do with the Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson can't. He says, well, what if he doesn't seat these new congressmen? He can't. The Constitution says he can't not seat them. He can try to exile them after they're seated, but he can't deny seating
Yeah,
these people.
that's the only thing that I am. The thing about it is, Republicans are known for doing shit to see if it stick on the wall. The Constitution says that Congress has to meet on the third and everyone takes their seat. Would they do it? I think they would try.
But it won't work
I
because
mean, yeah, it shouldn't
constitutionally
work.
it's not legal.
I know it's not, but I mean, I'm. It's frustrating that we have to think like this.
Well,
It's
the,
so fucking frustrating to think that's a possibility.
here's the thing: as I understand it, some third party would have to, maybe the parliamentarian or whoever the fuck it is, uh, will have to swear in Hakeem Jeffries, assuming he's the new Speaker of
Right.
the House, because Mike Johnson has nothing to do with it. Once
No, it doesn't.
Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker of the House, then he swears in the rest of the people. So The idea that Mike Johnson is this fucking boogeyman, he's just a suck ass piece of shit
Well,
who's going to go away into oblivion and nobody's going to care about the motherfucker until he gets an indictment.
yeah, the problem with part of the problem with Mike Johnson is that he did come up with the fake electoral scheme and was one of the pushes during the 2021 situation.
Well, that was
Um,
brilliant because people are going to jail now over that. So
yeah, that's
he's
and
not the mastermind I want working for me.
yeah, and then well, honestly, I think he would be more sneaky if it was for Donald Trump be having a loud mouth.
Right.
Um, if they have secret, why are you saying that him and Mike have a secret?
Well, see, that's the
In
thing
the
that
old,
bothers me. He stands up there and he goes, "We got a secret plan, right, Mike? Right, Mike?" And then all the Democrats go, "Oh my God, he's got a secret plan. What's going to happen?"
yeah,
I've told you a million times Donald Trump is a pathological liar. He's stupid as fuck. Everything he says when he says the quiet thing out loud is ultimately wrong, and he always fails. So why do you get all worked up and worried about this shit when
because
you know he's a fucking fool?
that's what Democrats do. And also, let's be honest, the majority of us have PTSD from 2016,
True.
and they're afraid that it's But again, we have said it, you have said it, everyone said it. Kamala Harris is not Hillary Clinton.
No,
She
not
is
even
not Hillary
close.
Clinton, and they keep the problem we're having right now is that the media and a lot of people, especially in Democrats, are seeing this election through the lens of 2016, a cracked, broken lens. But
Two
they
different
don't.
worlds,
Two different worlds.
two entirely different
They
worlds.
do not see the candidate who's really running. I will give Nancy Pelosi credit for one thing. We may not like the way they moved Joe Biden, but she was one of the instances. She went to Joe because she pushed away the past and said, "Look, this is what we have, and I'll be honest with you. And this is what happened. What we're lucky is that the Democrats didn't go into their usual chaos mode,
Right.
and Joe Biden allowed Kamala Harris and pushed her forward, and it all worked out. But I'll give her credit. She didn't look back in the past. She saw the future, and it was not looking pretty. I get her. Would Joe still won? It'll be narrow thin right now. It'd be pretty tough.
I
It'd be
think he would
ugly
have
at this
won. I
point.
think he would have won because it wouldn't have been about Joe Biden. The Democrats always say make the elections about Donald Trump, whether it be his endorsees or about him. It's about people who dislike and fear Donald Trump. They are huge numbers of people like that. We saw it in
Yes.
2022. We saw it in 2020. So he would have still Biden would have beaten Donald Trump. Maybe it would have been a little bit closer, but he would have won. Kamala Harris adds an extra factor in that she's hugely popular. So I expect her to win by a big margin. If Joe Biden won by 7 million votes in 2020, I'm thinking she at least doubles that. At
Uh,
least throwing in Roe v. Wade and all the
yeah,
other
and
shit.
that's the other thing they keep. I keep hearing all these people, and they have totally, at this point, dismissed Roe v. Wade as something from the past. That Dodds was like something, and people have gotten over it.
Yeah. No,
I don't hear that from women.
no.
There are, and again, more and more women are being suffering in these states unnecessarily. Um,
And they will continue to suffer
yeah,
until something's changed.
and that's the thing. It's what happened on Sunday is an example of what happens when you let when you lose control of your monster. The Republicans wound him up, and they thought they control him. Now he's loose, and he
Yeah.
does not give a damn
No.
anymore. Atlanta, he was in Atlanta with the same bullshit here, same speech, same bullshit. People walking out on him, and that's the thing. How are the people saying this is tied when people go to his rally leave? I
Why
mean,
do they go if they're going to leave? I mean,
I
you know
don't.
what you're going to hear. He said something in Madison Square Garden the other night. And what he said was, there's this group of women from North Carolina. They claim this is the 249th rally that they've been to. This is Donald Trump is like the fucking Grateful Dead. The same people follow him around everywhere, sell the merch on the streets, and that's how they live their lives, following and worshiping this fucking orange pig.
And the thing about it is, like, one of the round table on Morning Joe this morning was taking New Yorkers to task because they went out protesting. Why was there such a big crowd? There was a guy on the ground talking to people, and he says they're not from New York.
No,
They're either from upstate, Staten Island, or out of country or out of the states.
right.
That crowd was very little New York City people.
That that
Very few.
that event and that crowd was manufactured by Donald Trump and the Republican Party so he
Mhm.
could save face and say, see, I pull a crowd. That's the only reason it happened because it's a blue state in a town that fucking hates him. There's no way you pull 20,000, 25,000 people from New York. There's just no way. We know he busses people in. We know he pays people. It was just trying to prove, see, I'm popular. So how could I possibly lose if I'm popular? It's just all performative bullshit, and it gets so tiresome. We've watched it over and over for years. I can't wait till it's over.
And that's the hardest thing, I think, for all of us that we took. I mean, the Republicans are trying to run from it. And another thing that really aggravated me this morning, listening to Morning Joe, he used Ronald Reagan as an example of a better situation than Donald Trump. And again, the Republican Party is what we see now, but before it was hidden.
Right,
Please remember, folks, look it up. Ronald Reagan in his 1980 campaign, his first stop was in a sunset town in Mississippi. Make this clear. They are not Republicans are what you see from MAGA. Because if it wasn't MAGA, it was Tea Party before, which was the
right.
same thing.
Absolutely.
They are misogynistic, they are racist, and they've been like this 60 years, and they favor the rich.
Yeah.
And to use Ronald Reagan as an example against Donald Trump, really, Joe? Stop it. That's your fantasy, you guys. That Ronald Reagan was the greatest thing since sliced bread for the Republican Party. He was the greatest thing for the white version of it and the rich,
He was a
but for the
great thing.
rest of us, he broke the fucking economy and the middle class.
He was a great thing for the Republican Party, but he was a horrific failure for this country. He's the one that started trickle down. And of course, that has never worked and basically robbed the middle class. He's the one that stopped the funding to mental hospitals. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why we have so many homeless folks and crime because of these homeless folks. This guy did everything he could to tear down the American fabric. And I have to say, I've said it before, in 1980, I voted for him because things were rough with Jimmy Carter and we wanted to change. I'm 20 years old. I'm stupid. I've got more testosterone than brain cells. And I did vote for him. But in retrospect, as I look at it, he was the start of the demise of the middle class in this country. And the Republicans continued to perpetuate it up until this very moment in 2024.
And so you do not have a leg to stand on today trying to back away from what Donald Trump did on Sunday, what
No.
Donald Trump has been saying for the last few days. Mitch McConnell and Mike Johnson had joint statements telling Kamala Harris to stop calling Trump a fascist because it's forming violence. Jake Tapper, for some reason, has grown a set of balls,
Yeah, I saw
has
that.
been on a fucking tear with people. And you saw that little bit where he said, "Oh yeah, well let me show you what Kamala Harris. Oh no, that's Trump. Oh no, that's he fucking took him to task." I mean, these guys are just flopping around knowing they're fucked
But see, you
and
know
they're
what
trying.
what they're doing is what narcissistic bullies do. They come and get in your face and they threaten you. And then when you turn it around, not just by being mean, but with actual facts, they go, "Oh my God, you're crazy. You're a wild man." They do it to me all the time. When
Right.
some Republican starts talking shit, thinking they're real proud and stuff, they are expecting a Democrat to get in their face and go, "Fuck you.
No.
You don't know what you're talking
And
about." And then they
and
look at me like, "Oh, you're violent." I'm not violent, motherfucker, but I'm not listening to your shit.
no. I mean, I'll be blunt. I mean, there was someone. Did you see that JD Vance reaction? We were talking about the comedian.
Yeah.
Okay, JD Vance basically was saying, "Well, you guys, you can't take a joke. It was just a joke. You have no sense of humor. Why can't you take a joke?" And I did literally a 45-second video. My video was, "No, fuck you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming for my TED talk, because fuck you. You are an arrogant prick,
But
and all these fuck you."
if we did something, well, we're doing it to him now, calling him a fascist, and they're rolling on the ground, crying and whining that we're mean. We can't do that, but you can uh, make racist remarks
Hmm.
at a hate rally, and we're supposed to just accept it. This is the contradiction of these fucks. They want to do anything they want, but they'll cry and scream if we push back. That's why it's important that the Democrats keep pushing back and
Right.
push these whiny bitches back where they belong.
Today in Atlanta, part of the speeches, he called Kamala Harris a fascist. What the fuck, dude? You don't even know what a fascist is.
No.
No, you do know what a fascist is. You see it in the mirror every day. And he says, "Yeah, well, they don't like us. They call us Nazis." Yeah, project much, brother? I
Yeah.
mean, the thing that I think has got everyone so fucking in a knot is that don't fucking tell us if he does one, he won't do it, because he will fucking do it.
Oh,
He's going
yeah.
to do everything he's going to say. And the thing, again, I will say this to everyone, they keep worrying about violence if Kamala Harris wins. No, what you have to worry about violence if Trump does win and tries to pull what he did, because there's no way in God's green earth that people are going to act, they're just going to go into camps quietly. It
No.
ain't happening. Well, they'll use local police, and local police are going to get in trouble, because when you tell people what's going to happen and they have nothing to lose, this is a different world. This is a different country. And again, Democrats and people of color are not weak,
Right.
and they have weapons, and they will use them in self defense. That's what's going to. I cannot imagine them thinking that everyone's going to march to that beat. Sorry, and don't tell me. And I keep hearing this from a lot. Well, Trump would never do it. He's just kidding. No, he's going to do it because he's a spiteful prick and a child. And
Yeah.
spiteful children do this.
Absolutely. Well, Will, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. We're back on the Rational Boomer podcast. We're going to talk about some of the fears that people have. There's a lot of people out there that are fearful. It frustrates me because I don't think you need to be fearful, but we'll talk about that in a moment. We were talking about the comments by that comedian uh, at the Madison Square hate rally when he
Hmm.
was disparaging Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico. As a Puerto Rican man, you were
Yes.
born here.
Hmm.
Father was born in Puerto Rico. Both of
Hmm.
you, full fledged, from birth,
Hmm.
citizens of the United States of America,
Yes.
whether it be your father in Puerto Rico or you here in California. What
Mm.
was your what was your feeling when you heard? Obviously, you were mad about it, but how did that affect you? You talked about PTSDs for some people. How did that, as nothing else other than a Puerto Rican man, make you feel and make you think at that point?
It was actually kind of surprising.
Really?
I mean, I was angry. I was surprised that you went there,
Yeah.
because everyone knows Puerto Ricans are Americans, are citizens.
Hmm.
But to an extent, we have been kind of spared some of the bullshit that Mexicans get. Salvadorians get, because they're not American citizens unless they're born here.
Right.
We have that. We've always had that. My dad had that. Although my dad always wanted Puerto Rican independence, and I think during the 60s and 70s, my dad was part of the independence movement. He didn't talk about it much, and I didn't press him on it. I think what it was like they just finally decided that if you're brown, you're fucked. And
I,
that kind of broke my heart to an extent,
I can imagine.
because here we go. And my kids, when we moved to Georgia, I thought we were going to get shit, and we got shit, but my kids got more shit for being Hispanic from black people in the high school, teachers and students, than they got from white kids. It was a universal thing. And the one thing that I love about Kamala Harris, she is not going there. And people are saying, well, she keeps courting. Yeah, of course she's going to court the poll. Of course she's going to court voting blocks.
Yeah.
What idiot doesn't?
Yeah.
Okay,
Donald Trump.
yeah, but see, another thing with excuses that they say, well, Kamala Harris is doing that because of her, because she's black. No, she's doing it because she's a fucking politician,
And she
and I'm
wants to
not
win.
voting. And I'm not voting for her because she's a black woman.
Well, and the other thing to consider about courting Republicans, this is an unusual race. Usually it would be cut and dried. Republicans vote Republicans, Democrats
Hmm.
vote Democrats. But we know that there are some Republicans that cannot stomach Donald Trump, that will not vote for Donald Trump. It makes sense to try to say, hey, listen, I know you're not a Democrat, but you won't vote for Donald Trump. You're welcome over here. We're going to try to
Right.
do good for everybody. That makes common sense. And it may be unusual for presidential elections, but this is an unusual situation where some Republicans just cannot stand Donald Trump.
I mean, I think a lot of us, and looking at the creators on TikTok and all of us, I think we were just surprised. I mean, I think part of us going. I mean, we knew you hated Puerto Rico. We knew this. I mean, what your case with what you did to Puerto Rico, to Maria. We all know you tried to sell Puerto Rico trade Puerto Rico to Denmark for Greenland. Why I don't his obsession with Greenland doesn't make sense to me when he was president.
He assumes there's a bunch of white people there.
I don't. It's a piece of It's an ice. What? I
Yeah.
don't understand it. And I get, maybe when that happened, maybe I thought we were going to be okay, in the sense that we wouldn't get dragged into this bullshit like this. And we got dragged into this bullshit. I mean, it
Yeah.
was bad enough for Maria, and the infrastructure and everything shot in the island. The island is shot. The island was not taken care of. Not even Joe Biden is taking care of the island. They haven't done what they should have done. Kamala Harris' plan is a beautiful plan for Puerto Rico, to rebuild it to what it should be for the
And we
electrical grid.
should.
They should. And it should be. And I know a lot of Puerto Ricans don't like to hear, and true Puerto Ricans should just give up and just become a state. The
Yeah.
only reason that it hasn't become a state, because Republicans figure it's going to be a blue state, and they're
Right.
fucked
Right.
again. Look, once you get statehood, there's so much more that comes with it. Federal grants, federal help, military bases, all that comes with it. Tourism is already there. It's protected under federal government. The problem with a territorial government, they're kind of independent, and they have issues, and there's a lot of corruption down there.
Yeah.
What I think more than anything, what happened Sunday, it hurt. I have to say it. Even coming from that fucking racist fuck on that platform, it hurt.
Well, here's what I don't understand is why Puerto Rico? I mean, I kind of understand what they're trying to say with Mexicans coming across the border, illegal aliens. But as I've said, there are no illegal aliens in Puerto Rico coming to the United States. They are U.S. citizens. So the only possible thing that they could be behind them saying these things are racist tendencies.
Yep.
It's not about illegal immigrants. It's not about anything else they talk about. It has to be about racism. It has to be the fact that they're brown and they look different than the typical white fuck Republicans. And that's pretty egregious. If that's what it's all about, is about racism, then please fucking explain to me why you keep telling us you're not racist.
Well, the thing about it too is like the reaction from a lot of, well, I mean, comments people get and everything. It's like, well, if you're so worried about that, why aren't you on the island? Why don't you go back to where you came from? Okay, so I'll go back to California. I'm cool with that. You dumb fucks. That is not a separate country.
No.
It's not a separate country. It's part of the United States. And it's like, and so I heard that went from surprise to hurt to, oh, hell no. And that's when, and that was all of us. I think collectively, Puerto Ricans went from, what? Really? Oh, fuck you. I mean, I could feel it just up because right now, their blood is up.
Let me ask you this. If you're a Puerto Rican living in this country, whether it be you or one of the 500,000 in Pennsylvania, do you react to that? Do they all feel the same kind of way you do? Or are there some that are oblivious and will still vote for Donald Trump? I find that hard to imagine.
There's some that are oblivious because remember a lot of this is machismo because they don't want to vote for a woman.
Wow.
Hey, I mean, men are men.
So it's sexism.
Yeah, to an extent, mostly. But the one thing about Puerto Ricans, as opposed to, and God, I hate bringing up race because everyone thinks you're what you are. But let me put it this way: Puerto Rican women don't take shit.
I know.
They
I know
don't take
some.
shit. Okay, my wife is a German, but I think I married a Latina half the time.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't take shit. They have been core. They have been a core for society, Puerto Rican society, for a long time. They are, and they are not happy, and the majority are pissed off right now because they know. Look at some of the female creators on TikTok. Oh hell no, I don't want to meet them in a dark alley right now
No.
on a bad end. I
No.
mean, and then AOC, who is Puerto Rican from the Bronx, she ain't happy either.
No.
I
She's
mean, so
pissed.
the point is, all of it. I mean, when you went from, I don't know who Bad Bunny is. My biggest regret is that I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know. I know the music. I enjoy the music. I don't understand it. My bad. But apparently, he's huge.
Yeah, he
And then
is.
minutes after that came through, he endorsed Kamala Harris.
Right.
He put up her video about with Spanish subtitles about her plan for Puerto Rico. Minutes afterwards, I mean, Jennifer Lopez, who was sitting on the sideline, stepped in,
Right.
and people said, "Well, that doesn't mean no. It makes a hell of a fucking difference because finally Puerto Ricans are saying no, because now we understand the stakes more than anybody else. Because let me put it for all you guys, they're coming for American citizens now. Why? Because my skin is brown.
Right.
Bottom line it, y'all. If you are not thinking that, then you're a fool. Because if you think they're not, you think they're just going to remove illegal citizens? No, they're going to remove everyone who they think is not American.
And where do you deport Puerto Ricans to? To
Well, no,
Puerto
they're going to
Rico?
put Puerto Ricans. They're going to put us in camps.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
I mean, because that's the thing. We have to game this out to the worst case scenario, because my wife is a huge Holocaust expert. Okay, Diane Frank, everything. She's done all kinds of research and history on her own because she's always fascinated by how this went so bad. Okay, but the one theme to the whole thing of the Holocaust and the lead up to the Holocaust is that the Jews in Germany, even after Kristallnacht and all that,
Right.
never thought they would do what they said they were going to do. They never thought it was going to happen. No, that's crazy. They would never do that, even though they saw all the signs. And then, then at the end, it was too late.
Yeah.
And right now, people may say, "Well, you're overreacting." No, I'm not overreacting. You know why? Because history shows if you don't overreact, you're fucked.
And what's that old saying they say, you know, it's not only the people that committed the crimes, the people that stood silent, and
Yes.
then ultimately were sucked up into the crimes and the wartime situations. And,
Have you
and
seen?
and so that's why
Right.
you and I sit here and all the people that follow us are speaking out, because
Right.
in Nazi Germany, a lot of people didn't speak out. And
Because they
because
didn't
they
think it was
didn't
going to
speak
happen.
out, they just rolled over the top of them. We're
Oh,
not going to let that happen.
but also the people who benefited from the Nazis didn't say anything because it wasn't them.
Yeah.
They weren't taking them. There's a great episode of Band of Brothers, one of the ninth episode where they find the first
Concentration camp.
concentration camp. Have you seen the show, Band of Brothers?
I haven't seen all of it. I've seen most of
Yeah,
it, but yeah, I know what
they're
you're talking about.
and so they came across it, and it's such a unbelievable thing that the people, Tom Hanks, that produced it, they literally found people to volunteer who were cancer patients going through chemo to imitate the prisoners. And the saddest thing, what they did was that once they did that, they went back into the town and forced the people to give them food. There's a scene in the bakery where German bakers trying to stop the Americans from taking. They're just taking the food. They weren't. They're just taking it to give to the prisoners. And one of them tries to stop him, and one of the characters sticks a gun in his mouth and going, "Did you know? Did you know? Did you know what was going down the street? Did you know what was going on?" And the guy keeps saying no. At the end, two saddest parts of that. They couldn't feed them because they were too thin. If you fed them, they would die. Two, they had to leave them in the camp because they had no place to go. Two, the saddest moments you'll see on television when the guy explained it to them. But what the commanders did was that they got every German adult citizen and child of age, because there were bodies everywhere, and they walked them into the camp and made them bury each one of those people
Right.
with their hands.
You know, it's funny. My grandfather was in World War II. He drove on something called the Red Ball Express, but he talked about being at one of the concentration camps. I don't remember which, but he was there as they were liberating it. I don't know that he was part of the liberation crew, but he was there. And at that point, I'm maybe 18, 19 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all this talk about the Holocaust deniers or something. And I said to my grandfather, he always talked about World War II, but they were always funny stories. He never told the blood and guts of all this stuff. And I said, Grandpa, there are people that say that there was no Holocaust, that it was all a lie. Did it really happen? And he never talked about it much. All he said is, you can goddamn well bet it fucking happened. And then he wouldn't talk about it, but he seemed very upset about it. I can imagine what that would have been like walking into a concentration camp like that. There are still people who deny the Holocaust. They deny the election. This is what they do
Yep.
when something doesn't work in their favor. Holocaust happened. There was no election fraud. And the Trump-a-fucks are, in fact, racist,
Right.
misogynist, sexist, anti Semite pieces of shit.
And with tendencies to violence, to be honest. So we say all that. And so, again, I have no compunction not to say they would do that to us. I will
No,
say if they tried to it, we're not going to go like those people did. It would be a fight and it would be bloody. But I will say this: all we have to do to prevent this is to fucking vote
yep,
and vote blue down the line. Just vote. Vote early. please vote early. Please vote early. And I'm saying that because, yes, there are the poll worker that got punched. There was the lady who ripped off her shirt. There was a guy in California trying to vote, and there were two MAGA fucks with pit bulls at the door of the freaking polling place. They had to be removed by police. They're going to try shit. We know this. But we have to understand one fact and one fact only. The polls lie. They're designed to lie because they serve a different master than us. We see the trends. There is no way we're losing the House. There's no way Kamala Harris does not win in any of these states. Is Texas iffy? It's Texas. Florida, I'm really strong with Florida. I don't give a fuck what the pollsters say.
Yeah.
That is going to turn blue, and they ain't going to like it. I'm sorry. There's just too much pressure down there with their fucked up governor and everything that's going down. It's just too much pressure. In Georgia, I'm sorry, this is going to turn blue.
Yeah.
I don't see how not. I mean, you don't. Her Atlanta, with Bruce Springsteen, her Atlanta rally was ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And you can't tell me that doesn't translate into a win. Her
Yeah.
ground game here is ridiculous in Georgia.
Yeah. It's
Um,
pretty amazing. I just wanted to
eh,
say something. Donald Trump, this is so ridiculous. You know that Tim Walz made some comments about the Madison Square Garden speech. And
yep,
he made a comparison a lot of people are making a comparison of pro-Nazi uh, uh, gathering at Madison
the
Square Garden
1939
in
rally.
1939. And he said this. And now Donald Trump wants an apology from Tim Walz. Oh, I'm sure Tim will get right on that motherfucker.
I'll do this for your governor just because I know he can't do that. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
Yeah.
Okay, because the truth hurts, motherfucker. Because it wasn't just Tim Walz. It was the entire fucking media who made that connection. I just thought Nuremberg from the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
No, they went right to the 39 because someone laid out in the media. They showed a picture of the 39 rally, and then they showed a configuration of the MAGA rally. They were the same. Exactly the fucking same. And that was not Tim Walz, dude. That was the
No.
media
Here's
calling
an
you out.
Here's another story. I'm looking at the news while we're talking here,
Mhm.
and we're recording this on Monday night. There's a guy. This is interesting. I want to see this video. It says Russell Vought, the former director of the Office of Management and Budget during Donald Trump's first term, was caught on video discussing plans to override objections from Defense Department officials to deploy the U.S. military against American citizens. More of this shit is going to come out.
Mhm.
So Donald Trump had plans of using the military against Americans, which is fucking crazy, against the Constitution, against everything possible. And the idea that he might do it again isn't so crazy
No.
if he tried to do it back when he was president.
How is an OMB director going to call out the military? That's insane.
Well, the
The,
problem is you had a bunch of people that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were just throwing shit against the wall like
I
monkeys.
could imagine if that guy go, okay, going up to General Milley and going, okay, I'm ordering you to send troops out. And Jerry Miller would go, you have 5 seconds to get out of my office
Yeah.
before I remove you from my office. I mean, that's the thing. The biggest fear we have that everyone's worried about. Look, let's talk about this sentence of fear. Let's use the word motivation. The biggest motivation you have, one of the biggest motivation you have to vote blue, Kamala Harris, and everyone down on the ticket is that if Donald Trump becomes president, he will have no guardrails. He will remove every civil servant that has a brain or any ethics and replace them with people that Stephen Miller vets.
Yeah.
Think on that, assholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think on
It's
that.
if you think Donald Trump first term was bad, the next term will be nothing. like it at all. It'll be far worse. It'll be far more disastrous, far more dangerous. And that's why I'm just not convinced that Donald Trump has any chance of winning. We were talking about people's fears, and I hear them every day, and I get frustrated. I'm sorry I get frustrated about it, but people will say, "Oh, this happened this weekend. Have you changed your mind? What do you think now?" No, bitch. I think what I think. I'm not changing my mind. There's a week away. There's nothing that's going to change my mind. There's nothing that's going to change the outcome. What's going to happen is going to happen, and it isn't going to be Donald Trump winning.
If you guys are still thinking that what happened on Sunday or everything that, first of all, the Republicans sending that to the Supreme Court is not going to. If they do it, they're going to be numbered.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be a reckoning on that.
Well,
There's
they
still,
already are going to get
yeah,
that.
because the thing about it is, you're going to maybe stop a few thousand votes, but if it's a landslide, what you
Doesn't matter.
decided won't matter, and then we will remember. Um, if you are thinking that Donald Trump's violence, them burning a couple of ballot boxes, threatening people is going to make a difference, then you really need to check yourself and your courage. There is too much. People are out there busting their ass to do this.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris has basically give us a mission. Hell, Michelle Obama gave us a mission. Just do something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing something. I mean, I don't. I mean, I don't get people. I know people ask me questions. What do you think? Well, I think it's bullshit if you're worried about it.
Yeah.
Because the only way it happens is if we don't do our job. The worst case scenario, and even if the worst case scenario happens, you still fight to the end because it's going to be it be the worst nightmare known that the American Republic will probably end? Yeah, it will, but at least we can go down fighting. And I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just being realistic. If you don't do your job, and I did my job, and you don't enjoy what you decide, what your decision did, and if you are voting third party or because of the Palestinian thing, or you think Joe Stein is some kind of savior, take your ethical bullshit somewhere else because it's
Yeah.
bullshit. You have no idea what we're facing, and that's the thing. You and I remember an America, even with the old Republican Party, where it was just basically politics. It got skewed later on when Obama became president because now race was involved. Now came the Tea
Exactly.
Party, which led to Trump and Trumpism, which is just basically the Tea Party without a hood. We have not had normalcy for 10 motherfucking years.
At least. Yeah.
And it's like, and then you toss in the incompetency of a pandemic, which still to this day reverberates through this country because incompetency did not, the incompetent one didn't take care of it because he was too worried about how it looked for him.
Right.
I am tired, ladies and gentlemen, of being part of some man's reality show to make him look good. I have had it. And if you haven't had it, then you need to go see a psychologist or really, 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 really drink more in your life.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that people think people always wake up looking for something to worry about. I swear to God, people do that. Well, but what about this? What about that? Again, nothing's going to change between now and November 5th. It's going to happen. What's going to
7
happen
days.
is going to happen 7 days, and we're going to have an answer. Now, some people say, well, in a week after that, we'll know who the winner is. I don't think that's the case. I think we'll have a very good idea who the winner is by the next day at the very latest because
Yeah,
there will be such a huge turnout.
and the turnout's happening now. And I don't think, and again, the media is trying to wash it where Republicans have, now part of the early voting that's going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference. And, there's some statistics that young people aren't out voting. I didn't see that.
No.
Some guy said, no, I don't see that. I mean, the trends look good for Kamala Harris. Harris, though, is treating as if she's behind.
Well, I think she's doing that
That's
on.
a
I think she's doing that on purpose.
yes, she's smart. Because
Yeah.
everyone, that's one thing people keep saying, well, she's not treating it like 20. No, you're not. Because the problem with the Clinton campaign at the time, they were stuck in the past. They didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't think that was going to happen. They really didn't. They really didn't think enough people in Michigan were going to vote for Donald Trump, and enough people in Michigan were going to vote for Joe Stein to fuck everything up. They didn't know. They did not anticipate it. They are anticipating the worst case scenario. That's why she was sitting with Shannon Sharp today. That's why
Yeah.
she had another rally in Philadelphia. That's why she's on the run in Michigan again. She is not stopping. We sleep when we're dead. And
Right.
that's Tim Walsh's mantra, and it's what it is. And the Trump campaign, to an extent, has had to respond. They
Yeah.
did.
And
They were basically going to say, we got this. We keep our now your boy's out there again, and your boy is his worst fucking enemy. Because Rick, if you want proof that what happened in Madison Square Garden was bad, Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project, he will lay it out straight. He said it straight up. That was political suicide on Sunday.
it was
And
absolutely.
people, no matter what the media keeps saying, goes, no, no, there are people are still going to vote. Yeah, people are still going to vote for him. We knew this from the beginning. But the people that he needed to vote for him to get over the hump are finished.
See,
If
see,
you're, go ahead.
the key is when you give a speech like that or have an event like that, the idea is to gain votes from people who weren't going to vote for you. Now, after that speech and after all the rally speeches he's given, he has never gained a vote. He's done nothing but lose votes. So
Mhm.
he's going the wrong direction with regards to his efforts to try to win this election. And he can't win the election because he doesn't even have the Republican Party unified all behind him. He's got at least a third of the party that stepped away from him.
And the Republican Party, again, everybody, they are complicit with this.
Yeah,
Do not vote for Kamala Harris and think that this Republican's okay. No, they're not. No Republican is okay.
I agree.
No Republican. There is no old school Republican. There isn't. They are complicit with what we see today. Period. And given an opportunity, they would turn on us in a New York minute. I'm sorry. If we do not remove the Republican Party from the political body politic, we're fucked because they're like a disease. We
I
have to
will.
kill this disease.
I will tell you this: people always get on Donald Trump about being vengeful, and I have to say that I may have that same negative trait because after this is all said and done, if what the media told us was a lie and you and I were right,
Mm,
and the Republicans who said, "Well, I'm not as bad as Donald Trump," but yet support him, they're going to want to step back and they're going to say, well, that's great. He won or she won, and this is all great. And then just forget about that shit. I'm not forgetting about that
no,
shit. I'm going to go hunting for the media. And when I say hunting, I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about verbally. I'm going to call out MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, all the politicians that stood with Donald Trump, all the little Trump-la-fucks that
yeah,
said, just you wait. I'm going to call them out every fucking chance I get because they need the embarrassment. They need to be exposed for who they are.
right. I mean, to be honest, to the victors write their history books,
Yeah. Go to the
um,
spoils. Yeah.
or the spoils, but the mass media is already paying the price. 200,000 subscribers of Washington Post gone. The CNN is losing their viewership. I mean, and these people are just so arrogant. I mean, I saw Anderson Cooper during the town hall, dude. And then I don't know. We discussed it. Charlemagne the God called him out, and he was so defensive,
Yeah.
dude. It is what it is. People. The thing that we have to understand is that once take care of business, vote. I mean, if you have not voted or you're afraid to vote, really, and if you're undecided, you're not listening to us anyway. You're not. There's
Yeah.
no. I mean, I see those undecided. Those young. You know what? You probably couldn't even order a hamburger at McDonald's because you don't because there are too many choices.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
honestly, how many ways can you put fried meat between bread and cheese, guys? I mean, see, we are, God, it's frustrating because what happened in Madison Square Garden so aggravated me and a lot of us to the point of action. They don't know what happened, and it aggravates you because you don't want to be aggravated. I don't want to. I did my job, honestly, and I'm being honest. I did what I was supposed to do to vote. But I'm still aggravated because this shit is still going on and people are still making excuses for it and not to vote or to think that Donald Trump is a better choice. Because if you and to watch the ads that they have now for Trump is disgusting. To say that all these ads, especially on YouTube, where they says Trump is for the people. Trump is not for anyone but Trump. We know this. The world knows this. Republicans are not for anyone but Republicans. Who's that guy running for Senate? Moreno
Yeah,
in the
Moreno.
U.S. Senate. Did you see that tape? Someone asked him about if his daughters were raped and impregnated, what he
No,
would do.
no.
Oh, this is a good one. So they asked him that question, and he said, what, because they were trying to get exceptions in there. I think the podcaster was trying to toss him a bone. Motherfucker said the most thing that would be important is to make sure the babies are safe and they come to term. He just asked you if your daughter had been raped and impregnated, you're more concerned about the baby than your daughter and finding the man who hurt her?
Well,
What the fuck?
he's peddling the talking points that he was told to peddle. He's saying what he thinks is going to help him win. And that's the problem. These fucks will say just about anything if they think it'll get him votes or money. So you can't trust anything they say. You don't know what they're going to do because they constantly lie. Now, if he would disregard his own children for the sake of an unborn fetus, that says a lot about this man. This guy is a despicable fuck in the first place.
But
The
see,
fact
there's a
that he
lot of,
would have any chance of winning this is absolutely crazy.
and that's the thing. There's a lot of despicable fucks running for these in the Republican seats. And there's a lot of more people voting for these despicable fucks. And I have to wonder about our society. If you think that man saying that statement about his children, you consider that a good thing because you want to protect babies?
Yeah,
Makes no fucking sense to me. Your abortion arguments have been bullshit for decades. Fucking decades. It was manufactured by Jerry Falwell and the moral majority because they needed something to gin up the church.
right.
And now here we are, and women are suffering, and you have men indoctrinated to hurt women. That's all they care about is hurting women, making women suffer. I don't get you guys.
Yeah,
What do you get out of it? I mean,
it's just all about power and ego for these fucks. They don't
yeah,
care what
but
it
I mean,
costs
hey
anybody
guys, have
else.
you? And I've been through it. Have you had your wife miscarry?
No, I have
Mine
not,
did.
but my mom did.
Yeah, mine did. It was horrid,
Yeah,
and the doctor was an asshole
yeah,
because I had to take off work, and I said, "Hey, dude, I need something for work." No, that's not my problem. I don't handle that. You motherfucker. I never forgot that with that doctor. All right, you prick. My wife. I mean that still bothers her to this day,
oh, I can imagine.
decades later, and so complicated now with the possibility of that doctor would not have treated her, that it would have been worse. And you have to stand there as a husband and be helpless and possibly watch your loved one die because of a law made by someone who has no fucking medical background.
But you know, some rich white guy that has a daughter that's going through that, he'll find a way around it because it's okay for him, but not everybody else. That's the fucked up
And
thing about these assholes.
yeah, I mean, it's time. I'm going to bring out an old term: eat the rich,
Yeah.
because obviously, from where they're standing, they want they want an economy where it's broken and they can suck everyone dry. I mean, some people have said it. Some CEOs or rich guys said it. The problem with the working classes, they think they think they have rights.
Yeah.
That's their problem. Oh boy. I
I,
mean, and that's
I
what
had
we're fighting too in this election.
I had a moment when I was glad I wasn't more recognizable than I am now. Every once in a while, people recognize me. But my brother was with me, and he's all about touristy stuff, and he wants to see stuff he's never seen. And my wife and I are following along, and we go into the Beverly Hills Hotel, okay,
It's a hotel.
and we go down to the Polo Lounge and have a drink. It's fucking ridiculously
Yeah, I
priced.
know.
But I'm watching all these people driving Lamborghinis and a Bentley SUV and a Rolls Royce SUV. We're looking at a million and a half worth of cars in these three spots. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you pitiful fucks, you live an exorbitant lifestyle and there are people starving. I'm not saying give away all your money, but at least be human about it. They want to not pay taxes, but I could
Hmm.
just imagine if they knew who I was and listened to the shit I say, I wouldn't have been very popular in that place.
I mean, I don't begrudge people making money. And
No.
this is a capitalist system. If you're really successful, be successful. But again, pay your fair share.
Yeah,
And I found out real quick that Los Angeles has nothing on Atlanta when it comes to cars and rich people.
really.
Holy fuck. You get up near Buckhead in this area around here, God, those people are rich compared to LA. Woo! I mean, I found that out really quickly here. Because there's money to be made here in Georgia. The point,
We've got some rich areas of Minnesota, the metro area. I'm not
yeah.
going to identify, but people who live around here know who they are, and they act like they're in Beverly Hills and they're ultra wealthy. Go to Beverly Hills. You ain't shit. You're the middle class to these
Oh,
motherfuckers.
you be a hick.
Yeah,
You be the hick there. I mean, I don't begrudge. Again, opportunity economy is fine. Always, and I say I put it on a TikTok on this. The problem with the Republicans is they believe in socialism, but it's socialism for the rich. I mean, they get everything, we get nothing. They don't. They consider us a burden, but they consider pandering to the rich and corporate an asset.
right.
I mean, and that's what we're fighting. That's what they're fighting. They don't want to go down without a fight. Well, guess what? We're not going without a fight too. And one of us is going to win. I think it's going to be us. I think the
Uh,
middle class is going to win this, and they're all going to have to come online. Because here's the thing, dudes, you're going to make your money. You're going to make your money. We're all going to make money, but you're just not going to be total top dog anymore. Deal.
put it
I
this way:
mean,
if you pay your taxes, we build up the middle class. Guess what? The middle class buys more shit, buys more of your shit, and pays more taxes.
yeah.
That's what makes the fucking country go round. Money and moving money. If you take away all the money from the middle class, there's nobody to buy shit anymore. You've you've greeted yourself out of fucking business. And that's what they don't understand. They don't see past the end of their nose. Kamala will get in, and at least we'll be headed the right direction, and hopefully the middle class will get the attention they've so deserved for so long. And these Republicans, we're not asking you to go into camps. We're not asking you to give up all your money. Because I got to tell you what, in the 1950s, wealthy people, you know how much taxes they paid?
About 60%?
Up to 90%.
Oh,
They paid
jeez.
90%. And you know what? The economy was great back then. But the fact of the matter is they want them to pay 28, 29%, which is still less than you and I typically pay. So,
Yep.
so we're not asking a lot here. We could go and say, well, let's go back to the 90% and make everybody happy. We're not asking that. Just a fair share. Just a fair share. And they don't want it. They want to game the system so that they have all the money.
And it doesn't, I mean, again, if you don't give people hope, that's how revolutions start. Bad
Absolutely.
revolutions. So
Absolutely.
we're coming to this is the end game. We are a week out from voting. I don't know what state you guys are in or watching this or listening to this. Find out where your early voting is. Please, please, please go vote early. Um, I mean, there's going to be a mass surge of people voting on the 5th, but I don't want to trust the systems of for that much people. Go vote early, get it out of the way. It is worth it to do it. Is I did it and it was worth it because now it's done.
Right.
And basically I'm encouraging you guys to do it because that's all we have to do. We're not literally not have to do. Look at it this way: the MAGA fucks are standing around polls being assholes. The MAGA fucks have decided they're going to burn ballot boxes. The MAGA fucks think they're going to be violent. It's not going to work. That's desperation.
Yeah, it
We
is.
vote, we walk away, and we watch what happens. Because then I can say with a clear conscience, if shit goes down, did my part.
Yeah.
Now we see what happens. And if you guys are scared and worried about what's going to happen after you vote, stop. You've done your job.
Yeah. You
The
once you've
rest,
done.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, my wife and I went and voted early for one reason, not
Mhm.
because we were worried about anything. We just went locked up. It was very quiet, very calm, and
Mhm.
most people will experience that. But we did it because we know it's going to be busy on November 5th. And we figured if we took us out of the mix, that would
Mhm.
be the one less space in line somebody would have to wait. May
Exactly.
hopefully making it easier for the people that were on November 5th.
And again, maybe we're preaching to the choir. I know we
Maybe.
are. Well, we are. But a lot of people, when we do videos or we make comments, they like these videos because we hit a chord.
Yeah,
We say something that they've been thinking or something that's been making them nervous. Um, I am glad that I'm outraged about what happened because we should be outraged. If you're
absolutely.
not outraged at what happened on Sunday and everything that's coming out Donald Trump's mouth and his threats to democracy, and dear God Almighty, we are not a fucking trash can, you dumb, you sick motherfucker. We are a conglomerate of a great amount of people who decided to get together and do something different. That's how America started. Um,
Absolutely.
I mean, was it an issue with? I'm not even going to bring up, yeah, slave owner. No, stop it. The original core idea was to put together a bunch of different people with different cultures and ideas and come together for an idea, a free country, a country dependent on what you can do. Was it perfect? I thought one of the greatest lines in the Hamilton musical is that when Hamilton is trying to convince Burr to support the Constitution, Burr says it's not perfect, and he goes, "Well, amend it." Well, he goes, "Well, amend it." Well, yeah, but that's going to no. It's not perfect, but we'll fix it down the line.
Right.
It's a good start. The point is, we've been working on that for 250 fucking years.
Right.
You guys don't get it. The Constitution is a flexible document, but it's not, it's a document dedicated to laws and fairness. What's happened is it's been twisted by a few men who've used their greed to take advantage of it. But I will tell you one thing: the Constitution is a living document. The
It is.
reason that the military dedicates is um, it takes its oath to the Constitution and not a man, because literally that is the living embodiment of America.
And I don't understand how people say, I'm a constitutional originalist. Well, how can you be a constitutional originalist if the fucking Constitution's been amended even once? You want to go to the
Yeah.
original Constitution? You can't do that because there's a number of amendments that have changed the Constitution.
And then the forefathers put in the came up with the original thing, and they came up with the 10 amendments because they knew they couldn't put they knew the original document is not perfect.
Right.
The amendments were there to kind of flesh it out, and the system for amendment was put in there because they knew things would change.
Right.
Again, that was the brilliance of our forefathers. Our forefathers were so far ahead looking, they knew society would change. Society would change. But what they didn't want is what we're facing right now. Um, uh, the one thing Washington fought against, a demagogue,
Right.
one man holding power for the sake of power. George Washington stepped away from power because he knew it was the right thing to do for the country.
Right.
Um, another thing, if you haven't seen Hamilton, for God Almighty sakes, go watch it on Disney Plus. Please watch it, because the embodiment of America is in there, and the scene where Washington tells Hamilton he's not running for president. That song, or that song that he writes, that they play, is George Washington's farewell speech.
Wow.
They took it verbatim. At the end there was, but they put it verbatim in the show, because it says everything. He knew so many years ago that the nature of man is to hold on to power. If I show them that the one man who literally could have declared himself king and everyone said, cool, and he didn't, is stepping away from power to let other people try to do it next. Because if you see John Adams, the one thing that Trump keeps talking about, the alien thing, came from John Adams, because he was a fucking paranoid. He
Right.
only lasted one fucking term because
Yeah.
people got tired of him.
Yeah.
You see, that's the example of Washington stands. It took us 250 years to get to the point where we're at the precipice of losing it all. But I would tell you, it's a brilliant document written by brilliant people 200, almost 300 years ago. And do not give me this shit that we're slave owners. Take that away. That's not what it was about.
No.
It was, I'm not even going to address it. I'm going to address what we live under in the Constitution, because that document is probably the greatest document ever written a country was built on. The British took a while with the Magna Carta, but they still have royalty. Every other country that became a democracy after us was built on the fabric of the Constitution.
Right.
Period. End discussion. And to think that a con man will piss on the Constitution to keep his ass on jail, it should be more than enough motivation for you to go vote and vote blue. Vote for
Ab-
people who support the Constitution. If anything else, that's it. Because the people who are voting for Trump do not believe in the Constitution. They
Absolutely.
don't. They believe in something that doesn't exist. So for God Almighty's sake, y'all, take a deep breath, go do your job,
And then
and
just watch what happens.
watch what
Trust me.
happens. And if you want to bitch and whine, fine, but get mad
Yeah.
and turn to people who do bitch and whine and go, did you vote? No? Then get your fucking ass out there and vote
Absolutely.
before you complain to me. And if
Absolutely.
you and simple as that. And even if you're going to vote for Trump, well, at least you did something a lot of people don't want to do anyway. You voted.
Absolutely.
God damn.
Well,
Let's get
we're
this right, people.
we're gonna wrap things up for this
Mm.
this show, and I appreciate you coming. Before I
Thank you
go,
for tolerating me
no, that's all
3
right. That's
days,
fine. I mean, it
three
seemed
weeks in a
appropriate
row.
to talk
God,
to you, given that you're
mm.
you're Puerto Rican and all that's gone on. But as you
Look,
know, I just came
upstate.
back from L.A.,
Mhm,
and I know
great.
you're a big L.A. Dodgers fan.
Well, yeah, I'm watching right now. It is 4-0. Bottom of the ninth, one out. They're about to go up 3-0, and I'm going to celebrate because I have my stuffed Dodger dog ready on there. I'm going to give him a big hug. He's on my bed.
Well,
And
I tell you what. On the last day we were there, Sunday, we went to Dodger Stadium. I mean, driving in that fucking town when the Dodgers games were going on was absolutely nuts. I was a traffic reporter. I watched traffic in Minneapolis all day, every day for 27 years, and I'd never seen anything like that. It
oh
was
God, yes.
absolutely nuts. But after it was done, we went to Dodger Stadium because my brother wanted to buy some Dodgers shit, and
Hmm.
and it was a cool place. The only gripe
Oh,
I
it's a
have
beautiful place. It's
the
beautiful.
group only gripe I have is that when we went there just to the store,
Hmm.
I said, "Hey man, where's the bathroom?" And they said, "No public bathrooms today." Bitch, I'm 64 years old. Everywhere I go better have a fucking bathroom.
It's yeah, but Dodger Stadium was built on a great line. I mean, for us, part of it, for me as a Dodger fan, the hardest thing before the World Series started is Fernando Valenzuela passed away.
Right, right.
And I remember Fernando Mania in '81.
Well, I do too.
Uh, and it
Fernando and I are
was
about the same age. And I
yeah,
remember how big it was in 81 when I was
it was,
21.
and there in Dodger Stadium, there's so much history there. And for him, when they won that first game and the way they did, I just said, that's for you, brother, because
Yeah,
they came back. I mean, it's such a big deal in baseball. There's that line from James Earl Jones, God rest his soul, from the um, God, the Kevin Costner movie. I just drew a blank on it, and I hate when that happens. Um,
I know what you're talking about. I drew a
yeah, I know
blank
which one.
too. The biggest,
Um,
it's the
yeah,
uh, the
he builds
field,
it.
the
The
field
Field of
guy,
Dreams. Bingo,
field of
you hit
dreams.
it. Field of Dreams. But he said one thing that I heard it the other day in relation to everything. The one constant in America is baseball. It's the most, he goes, it's a sport that tries you in many ways. And it's a beautiful speech because it's not only just about baseball, it's about America.
Yeah,
Because he says if you build a field, they'll come because baseball is the constant in America. And it is. Because the one thing about baseball will teach you, you're going to fail 70% of the time.
right,
It's what you do with the other 30% is what makes you a star.
right, right.
That's what I love about the game and always will. And the Dodgers have 2 outs and they're about to win game 3. Hey, Yankee fans, been nice knowing you. I love it.
I'm not a huge Dodger fan, but I don't particularly like the New York Yankees. So I'm happy to see LA win this.
Yeah, yeah, 2 out in the bottom of the ninth. I'm looking forward to the celebration. But yeah, Mike, I appreciate it. I know I dropped that on you today, but
That's
I
cool.
appreciate it. But also remember one thing, guys. I'm not just Puerto Rican. I'm an American, like the rest of
Exactly.
you. And I'm not saying that because that guy dissed Puerto Rico. I'm saying that because it's true for all of us. I
Right.
don't care what color your skin, what God you worship, what church you do or do not go to. If you believe in America and what the Constitution stands for, you're my brother and my sister, and I'm proud of you. End discussion.
Absolutely. Well, uh, thank you, Will. And for those listening at home, thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.